Hey gang, what's going on? So there were 6 trade proposals put up by MLB.com. I will post that link in the description below. I will also give you my 6 trade proposals. And before I get into the trade proposals that MLB put out and the ones that I'm going to put out, if you like this kind of content, Yankees or baseball, please hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon buttons. It's greatly appreciated, extremely helpful for the channel, and I don't want you to miss out on a single thing that I put out. So let's get into it. So trade 1 was between the Mets and the Blue Jays, and it came, and it goes like this. The Mets would receive Alek Manoah, starting pitcher, and first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr., while the Blue Jays would acquire first baseman Pete Alonso and utility man Jeff McNeil. It's an interesting trade because I do feel that Alek Manoah and Vlad Guerrero Jr. both need a change of scenery. I also feel at the end of Vlad Guerrero's contract, he will leave the Toronto Blue Jays. So right there already makes me believe that this is a realistic trade. It could happen. Do I think it will? Probably not. But it is realistic enough that it says that there's a possibility it could happen. Moving on to trade 2 between the Phillies and the Angels. The Phillies would acquire Mike Trout, outfielder, from the Angels, and $50 million in cash considerations to help pay for Trout's contract. The Angels would also, in return, acquire outfielder Nick Castellanos and Carl Crawford's kid, Justin Crawford. Now, Justin Crawford, as I said, is the kid of Carl Crawford, former outfielder and major leaguer for the Rays. So the Angels would be giving up Mike Trout. Would it sting? Yes, but it is realistic in the sense that something like this should happen. Plus, the Angels get payroll off or cut payroll from the team, and it gives Mike Trout a chance to play for a World Series. For the Angels, it gets them an outfielder who has been underperforming in Philly, and Justin Crawford is a good, young, dynamic player, and that will give them some depth in their farm system. Trade 3 is between the Dodgers and the Brewers. So trade 2 I do see as realistic, but probably not going to happen. Trade 3 is between the Dodgers and Brewers. Like I said, the Dodgers would acquire right-handed pitcher Corbin Burnes and shortstop Willy Adames, while the Brewers acquire utility man Gavin Lux and minor leaguer Emmett Sheehan. This is a good deal for both. It is realistic. I could see this happening, being that the Dodgers have already been linked to Corbin Burnes, even though at the end of the day, I still see him going to Baltimore. But anyways, Corbin Burnes going to the Dodgers gives that protection for Clayton Kershaw, gives them a second big arm, and it gives them their shortstop, which they are in desperate need of. So this I could see happening. So that's trade 3. Trade 4 is between the Mariners and the Padres. The Mariners would acquire Juan Soto, outfielder from the Padres, who is the big fish right now that everyone's talking about. He has been linked to the Yankees very heavily. The Yankees are listed as the favorite. And also Tom Cosgrove, while the Padres would get right-handed pitcher Bryce Miller, infielder Jerry Kelenic, and Ty Pete. I don't see this happening. I don't think this is realistic at all, being that it's already been reported by multiple reporters that Juan Soto will probably not get traded to Seattle, being that Seattle does not want to give up their top pitching prospects for Juan Soto. So I don't see that happening, and I don't think that's realistic at all. Moving on to the next trade. Trade number 5. This is between the Red Sox and the Tigers. So it's a 1-for-1 swap. Shortstop Javi Baez goes to the Red Sox. Second baseman Trevor Story goes to the Tigers. This is realistic. I could see this happening. Both need a change of scenery. They're both underperforming at their current teams now, or with their current teams. And I don't think that this would be a bad trade. Gives each change of scenery, like I said. and a chance to revitalize their careers. Coming in at trade 6, probably the most unrealistic trade that would happen, but would be a monster trade nonetheless, and the Yankees are involved in this trade. So this is a 4-team trade involving the Yankees, the White Sox, the Astros, and the Orioles. So the Yankees would receive third baseman Alex Bregman, outfielder Jake Myers, and right-hander Jared Schuster. While the White Sox would acquire outfielder Jason Dominguez, minor leaguer Samuel Baslow, and they would also get Spencer Agnetti, I think is his name, and then the Astros would get Jordan Westburg, and the Orioles would acquire Dylan Cease. The Orioles would get their ace. The Yankees would get a third baseman and an outfielder and a pitcher, while the White Sox would get Jason Dominguez from the Yankees. I don't see this happening. This is not a realistic trade at all. Fun to talk about, but these 6 trades would turn the baseball world upside down and into a complete frenzy. So those are the trades that were posted out by MLB.com. Now, I will give you the trades that I think are realistic and that I could see happening. So trade 1 would be between the Baltimore Orioles and the Milwaukee Brewers, where the Orioles acquire right-handed pitcher Corbin Burnes, and the Brewers would acquire right-handed pitcher Dean Kramer, outfielder and their number 3 prospect Hessen Gierstad, their number 4 prospect, third baseman, first baseman Kobe Mayo, and their number 9 prospect, outfielder Dylan Beavers. I think this is more than realistic, and it probably is going to take that to get Corbin Burnes, but the Orioles will get their front of the line starter, and I definitely see this happening. This trade to me is extremely realistic, and this is what, like I said, think it will take to get Corbin Burnes to Baltimore. Moving on to trade 2, I've got the Red Sox and the Reds hooking up to make a trade. I have the Red Sox acquiring second baseman Jonathan India, while the Reds acquire Cutter Crawford, right-handed pitcher Cutter Crawford, their number 4 prospect, catcher Kyle Teal, who is their number 4, the Red Sox number 4 prospect, second base Nick York, their number 6 prospect, the Red Sox number 6 prospect, and then Wickelman Gonzalez, a right-handed pitcher, who is the Red Sox number 9 prospect. So that means the Reds would get a catcher, a good young catcher to give them some catching depth. They would get a second baseman to replace Jonathan India, and they would get 2 pitchers on top of that. That's probably what it'll take to get Jonathan India. So this is, to me, again, a realistic trade that I can see being made. The Red Sox have been linked to Jonathan India, so I could see that happening in order for them to move Trevor Story. So, moving on to the next one, I've got trade 3 being between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cleveland Guardians. So the Cardinals would acquire right-handed pitcher Shane Bieber, while the Guardians acquired outfielder Lars Nootbaar, So that's outfielder Lars Nootbaar. Their number 7 prospect, left-handed pitcher Cooper Herpe, I think it is, and their number 8 prospect, right-handed pitcher Sam Roberts. So the Guardians would get in return outfielder Lars Nootbaar, Cooper Herpe, the number 7 prospect of St. Louis, and Sam Roberts, a right-handed pitcher who is their number 8 prospect. This, to me, is probably a little bit of an overpay, but it's probably what Cleveland will ask for, and that gives the Cardinals their front-of-the-line starter. This is a good trade for both teams. Cleveland gets 2 pitchers and an outfielder in return, while the Cardinals acquire their ace. Trade 4 I have between the Yankees and the Marlins. So, the Yankees would acquire right-handed pitcher 20-year-old Yuri Perez, while the Marlins acquired second baseman Gleyber Torres, catcher Kyle Higashioka, and left-handed pitcher Kyle Carr, the Yankees' number 15 prospect. To me, this is realistic and as very well could happen, being that the Marlins have already been linked to Gleyber Torres. They like Gleyber Torres. They were trying to make a deal for Gleyber Torres a couple of years ago. So the Yankees need pitching, and the Marlins, well, need catching back depth, and they could also put Gleyber at second while they have Luis Arraez at first or third or short. So it's a fair trade for both teams. Both teams fill some needs. Yankees get a pitcher, and it is totally realistic and could be something that could happen this offseason. Trade number 5, I've got between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Chicago Cubs. The Rays would acquire second baseman Christopher Morel, and the Cubs would acquire third baseman Isaac Paredes, Mason Montgomery, a left-handed pitcher who is also their the Rays' number 7 prospect, while they would also receive right-handed pitcher Cole Wilcox, who is the Rays' number 11 prospect. So both teams get young players. The Rays get a very good second baseman in Christopher Morel, and the Cubs get a very young, dynamic Isaac Paredes, and it will give them some depth in the pitching department as well. So this is also very realistic, and I could see happening this offseason. Trade 6 that I have in the final trade proposal that I have is between the Mariners and the White Sox. I've got the Mariners acquiring outfielder Luis Robert. We all know the White Sox are having a fire sale and they're dumping everybody. So I see the Mariners acquiring outfielder Luis Robert, while the White Sox acquire right-handed pitcher Bryce Miller, shortstop second baseman, who is also the Cole Young, who is the Mariners' number 1 prospect, catcher Henry Ford, I think it is, who is the number 2 prospect for the Mariners, and Jonathan Clase, who is an outfielder and is their number 8 prospect. This gives the White Sox a pitcher, a good shortstop second baseman who could be their replacement for Tim Anderson, and a good catching prospect, as well as a very solid outfield prospect who could eventually take Luis Roberts' spot when ready. So those are the 6 trade proposals that I put out and that I feel are realistic and that could happen. You guys let me know what you think of the MLB.com trade proposals. I'll put that link in the description below. And then let me know what you think of my trade proposals and what you guys think of that. So, until next time, guys, you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.